Why did it have to be the Giants? Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to an episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Living in New York and having the Giants consistently kick our ass is awful, and I hate it. Grossi. And today we are going to be talking about the Green Bay Packers loss to the New York Giants 22-24 on Monday Night Football. And there's a few things to sink our teeth into for this game, and I want to start off by just saying the Giants deserve a ton of credit. Wink Martindale threw a whole bunch of different pressures at Jordan Love, and while they only got home 2 times with 2 sacks, the pressure all night on Love was substantial, and it just seemed that the defensive game plan for the Giants, it worked for about 90% of the night, and you saw just everything go wrong for the Packers, whether it was the offense, whether it was the defense, whether it was the special teams. This was just a night where everything went wrong and they just couldn't get out of their own way. Jordan Love in that first half struggled mightily, and while they did have a Jaden Reed touchdown on the end around, Matt LaFleur was like, let's just call that a whole bunch more times, and it did not work out. And even on that 2-point conversion attempt that would have potentially tied the game if the Giants hit that field goal at the end, unfortunately did not work again. And it just seemed that the receivers, they were not on the same page as Jordan Love. That happened a few times, even on a potential touchdown route. And Jordan Love also did not play his best game by making some really not great throws. And it seems like the past month in which Jordan Love has played nearly perfect football, it did not work out tonight, and I think there's a lot to blame here. Of course, there's a ton of injuries. There's been injuries on this team. Still no Aaron Jones, no Jair Alexander, and of course, no Quay Walker, which is a big difference. And the Giants' offense, while it did get stopped at some points, they were able to convert on key drives. And the only reason the Packers really even had a shot at the end was because Saquon Barkley tripped and wound up fumbling the ball and nobody touched him. And honestly, this is just an incredibly frustrating loss. Jordan Love finished the night with 218 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, went 25 for 39. And Jordan Love, who's been playing a month of really good football, just wasn't on the same page with his receivers tonight. And on top of that, I think was really missing Christian Watson, who he's been targeting more and more the past couple weeks. And of course, no Aaron Jones, even though I don't know how much Matt LaFleur would utilize him. But even looking at the rushing game, Dillon, 15 for 53, Jaden Reed, 4 for 38, had that touchdown. And Patrick Taylor actually had some nice runs as well. We had 123 yards of rushing. And in the receiving game, Tucker Kraft was the leading receiver, 4 for 64, 4 for 32 was Romeo Dobbs' stat line. And yeah, just a pedestrian night for that offense. Now, I do want to give Jordan Love credit for orchestrating that final drive for the Packers in which Malik Heath, they thought they had a touchdown, but then they went back to him again, got an amazing grab, and also knocked out a referee as well. But got that touchdown, and I thought, yes, that's what you want to see, because as we have talked about for the past entire season, there's always been those flashes of Jordan Love, and I know all the Jordan Love haters are going to come descending upon now and say, look, I told you he was a fraud, I thought he was supposed to be a Hall of Famer, and as I've been saying since the beginning, whether he was struggling or whether he was playing his ass off, you just gotta wait. These are the growing pains that you're going to deal with. Now, for the Giants, Tommy Devito, 17 for 21, 158 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 sacks. And that was probably one of the most disappointing things about the evening because the Packers' pass rush has been phenomenal these past few weeks. Nothing. They couldn't get pressure on Tommy DeVito, and when they did, DeVito took off, had 10 rushes for 71 yards. He was their second leading rusher, only behind Saquon Barkley, and that was only by 15 yards. The Giants ran all over the Packers, and here comes a mobile QB again that the Packers defense is going to struggle with. And while the offense of the Packers did struggle in that first half, they did enough to win that football game. And it came down to Joe Barry and that defense, again, missing Quay Walker, Eric Stokes, and Jair Alexander. but they couldn't get it done, and they couldn't even stop the Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson, whether it's running all over us or being the leading receiver, 6 for 79, had his way with that Packers defense. And for the Packers, they're a young football team, and I think you can make a lot of those excuses for the offense. But time and time again, you cannot make those excuses for that defense in which all that capital has been spent on that side of the ball. Joe Barry, this is not his first year on the team. And at some point, you just throw your hands up and go, what are we going to do here? But Joe Barry's not the only coach that should be under fire, because Rich Bisaccia also hasn't done an amazing job for the special teams. He did a great job last year, but this year it's been really lacking. Keyshawn Nixon with a key fumble that absolutely killed the Packers, and turnovers were a problem for the Packers almost all night. And this was just a total, complete team loss in which the offense didn't do enough, the defense definitely didn't do enough, and the special teams faltered. And so where does that leave the Packers? Well, the Packers are currently sitting at 6-7. And the way that I'm looking at this is like, hey, a lot of people didn't expect them to beat the Chiefs. They lost to the Giants instead and just swap them. Now they got 4 games left, 4 winnable games. They got the Buccaneers, the Panthers, the Vikings, and of course the Bears. They're currently sitting at 6-7 in the 7 seed. They're able to hold on to that because they have that tiebreaker over the Rams. But there are teams that are going to be gunning for that spot. And in a very wide open NFC, you never know. The Packers are in complete control of their destiny. They win these next 4 games, they are 100% in the postseason. So it is up to the Packers to make adjustments. It was a tough loss at MetLife tonight. Big shout out to that defense and to Tommy DeVito. Did really, really well for the Giants. And it's just frustrating because the Packers over these past 3 weeks have looked really good. The progress has been there. And tonight, it just faltered and we're left with a losing effort. So Packers, they got the Buccaneers next week. They will be back at home, which I think will help, but the Buccaneers, they are definitely going to bring their A game. So let's see if the Packers are going to be ready for it. We still got 4 games left. Let's see if they can make the postseason push. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You know, I saw me at Tom Grossi Comedy, all social media seed down below. A big shout and thank you to all the patrons and YouTube members for supporting this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.